Hi, this is Eric Ruderman from Northwestern University in Chicago. I am coming to you live from Eular 2024 in Vienna for Room Now. As I've been wandering around the meeting this week, looking at posters and listening to some presentations, I've noticed an interesting trend. There are several trials being presented here that are large phase 3 trials of new molecules being developed in China, and it appears that many of them are actually being developed only in China and only for use in China. This is a bit different than we've seen in the past when most worldwide multi-center trials included patients from China or included sites in China to ensure that there was variability in the types of patients exposed to the drug. Um, it seems that what's happening now, and I've talked to a few colleagues in the pharma industry, that some of the Chinese drug development companies seem to be identifying effective mechanisms of action as soon as they are developed and tested outside of China, and then quickly developing and testing Me Too molecules for use only in China. It seems that their population is large enough that they don't necessarily need to market those drugs outside the country, and the number of patients they have access to at some of their trial sites is large enough that they can quickly enroll the trials and get the answers that they need to determine whether the drug is safe and effective in a Chinese population. As I talk to some of my pharma colleagues, it seems that many of the global pharma companies are responding to this by limiting their development for the Chinese market, since the sales that they may have in China, if they're going to have their own versions of these drugs, may not be worth the cost of developing the drug and the regulatory hurdles that are required to gain approval in China. So it's an interesting trend. What's the problem, you might ask? Well, on the surface, not much. I mean, the Chinese drug manufacturers are certainly entitled to develop their own medications for use in their own population. But one of the things I wonder about is whether we're going to miss the opportunity to see genetic differences or genetic variances in the way people respond to drugs, either in terms of efficacy or in terms of toxicity. If we're not enrolling Chinese patients or patients with Chinese background in the initial trials, we may not see some of these issues until these trials happen in China later. And maybe even then, we won't be aware of some of these issues if they come up. And given that there's a large population of potentially patients being potentially treated with these drugs of Chinese background outside of the country, it might be an issue. It's just theory. I don't know, but it's something to think about, and it's an interesting trend that I've observed this week. So again, this has been Eric Ruderman reporting on an observation from Eular 2024 in Vienna. And please stay tuned here to Room Now for further information.